Hi, this is David with the Discount Dragon, and we are back with another segment on the future of art, among other things. Um, so, we are going to be talking about where art is going to go, and also we're going to be talking about a cool little accessory I got for my phone, and some bad puns, and just general art stuff. I'm going to be showing you some of the stuff I'm working on as well in the process. All right, so here we have got a ordinary sheet of graph paper, and here we've got one of the things I'm going to be showing you in this video. This is a $2 macro lens that I got at the dollar store, and I know it's $2, but unfortunately the 99-cent only store is now still called the 99-cent only store, but they have other stuff as well. So it really should be called the 99-cent mostly store. But this is the macro lens I got. It actually was a multi-pack with other lenses, but the macro one is the one that I find the most useful. So we're going to be using that in a little bit. So that is the macro lens for your smartphone. So I'm going to be showing you some of the attempts I've made at making itsy bitsy little human figures. And this is the first box. These are made out of a variety of materials. And what these are is individual body parts for making little human figures like fairies. So this here is a thigh and a calf, and then we've got little arms there and some heads and torsos and stuff. As you can tell, it's tough to get in close and get a good look at those. That's what we're going to do with the macro lens, just to kind of demonstrate that for you. But that's the first batch. Then we've got another box. These boxes are pretty handy. And this has various fairy parts as well in a different scale. This one you're going to be able to see a little better because it's a little larger. Kind of a torso. These are kind of crude. They haven't been refined. And another torso. Little squiggly bits here were going to be tails or other little body parts for them. So, stick that there. And as I said, some of these are done in polymer clay, and some of them are done in 2-part epoxy putty. And we've got others like these here, which are castings from a little itty bitty mold. Get this open. These are castings done in Durham's Rock Hard Putty, which is a water-based putty, kind of like a spackle. So that is this batch. And then we have yet another bunch of figures here. This one is one of the more complete figures. Still not seeing that great, but it's a little on large size for this batch of figures. Here's one of the ones that turned out, reasonably well. It still needs a lot of work. But the way I made this is I took the wire here, and I took thick fabric paint and just kind of dripped it on the wire and formed it a little bit with tools to form the overall shape. So dimensional fabric paint to make this. So as you can see, all of these views are relatively fuzzy. Well, actually, let's get in there. That's not too bad. But there's difficulties getting in close to these really small objects. And I've had that issue before where I want to capture small detail and the camera or the camera phone I'm using just doesn't really follow through on it. That's why this macro lens is pretty cool. So I am going to attach the macro lens, and then I'm going to go take another look at all of these with you. Let's see if we got this right. Yeah, it looks about right. And then we're going to take a look at these while I talk about the future of art. So as you can tell, you can get in super close and take a look at these really itsy bitsy parts. So there's a little torso. And even though the camera's showing it, please do not copy my fingerprints. So, little itsy bitsy torso out of Durham's rock hard putty and some wire. And then let's take off the lens and I'll compare it again. There it is, next to my finger. Try to get in close and forget about it. So I am going to be talking about this other topic while I am showing you these parts with the macro lens. All right, so something that is going to be coming for society is the advent of mechanization, automation, and computer minds. Now, it is difficult for people to accept the reality of these changes that are coming because they're very foreign to our experience. I mean, we've seen rapid change in our lifetimes, if you're old enough, and even though we've seen it, people have a predisposition to think that everything is going to go on pretty much as it has gone in the past. But that's not the case. Things do change. Sometimes they change very rapidly. And with technological progress, the way it's going, things are going to be changing more and more rapidly as time goes by. Now, what this means is that a lot of industries are going to be changing, and a lot of jobs are going to either be changing or evolving or going away completely. Now, a good example of this is one that has been talked about recently, which is driving jobs, which I had not realized this, but driving jobs are one of the largest realms of employment for people in the United States. So these jobs, which employ huge amounts of people, are basically going to be going away. And the reason they're going to go away is because of automated self-driving vehicles. Now, it's hard to think that self-driving vehicles are going to get that good, that fast, and become that universal. But I can tell you that everything I've seen suggests that they will. And I've heard this said by a lot of different sources. Now, in addition to the convenience factor of self-driving vehicles, there are other factors as well. First of all, there is the safety factor, which is going to be pushed by all kinds of different groups, the self-driving car people being one of them, but there are going to be others as well. We have got Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and guess what goes away if everybody's got self-driving cars? You've got automobile deaths from drunk driving that are just going to dry up and go away because you won't be driving drunk because your car won't let you. You will get sleepy drivers no longer causing accidents. You will get, just run-of-the-mill accidents being prevented, and the savings in lives will be pushed and pushed and pushed. And really, the rationale is if we can save only one person, it's worth it. Which is how things have gone through before. If we can save only one child's life, we have to do this. And because people are susceptible to these sorts of arguments, the chances of them going through is decent. Also, you have got the rise of cars being used as devices for terrorism. So you will not be able to have somebody get behind the wheel and just decide to drive into a crowd of people and squish them all. So, between all the different factors, including Elon Musk, who is brilliant and insanely wealthy, and is going to be pushing self-driving automobiles, self-driving cars are coming. They're going to wipe out a huge chunk of jobs that will never come back. And while this is a good example, it is only one example. There are going to be a lot of areas of employment that are going to either change or vanish, and it's going to be leaning towards jobs going away on a massive scale. And it's not going to take a million years either. If you want to go look at the progress that people are making in different areas technologically, walk into some of your fast food restaurants, which are switching from people complaining about not making enough money to automated kiosks to take your order. People are going away, the robots are coming, stuff is being mechanized and automated and streamlined, and a lot of jobs are just going to become obsolete. And unfortunately, a lot of these people that have these jobs are not going to simply adapt to a new environment, because the jobs that are available are going to be high-tech, and somebody that is pretty much suited only to do a manual labor, low-level job isn't necessarily going to be able to make the transition to a robot repair job, and even if they do, there's going to be so many fewer of those jobs. So what I'm saying is that there is going to be massive disruption in employment in first world countries like the United States. It's going to be just amazingly disruptive. And it's not going to be all bad, but for the common person, it's something that you have to think about. Now, one area that I believe could fare pretty well is certain segments of the art world. The reason for that is that even though you can get intelligent machines, or relatively intelligent machines, to produce works of art, they have to have a reason to do so. In other words, if you have a machine produce something like a small humanoid fairy creature, they can do that with amazing precision, and they're going to do something more precise than I would ever do. But art isn't all about reproducing specific items and objects and doing it accurately. There is a certain random factor to art that you're simply not going to produce with using a machine. For instance, let's take a look at my troll skull here. If you had a very sophisticated machine and told it, make a skull for a troll, it could turn something out, and could definitely turn out something that's more detailed and possibly more sophisticated than this. But the chance of it turning this particular sculpture out is zero, because the specific artistic choices that somebody makes have this degree of unpredictability that you're not going to find in a machine, even if you got a truly intelligent machine. So if you came up with a truly intelligent machine and told it, create a troll skull, it would do so. It would create a troll skull, but it would create a different troll skull, which means that you're still in the market. You still have a viable product. You can still produce things that can sell. You're not totally made obsolete by machines. Therefore, the artist cannot be made a totally obsolete sort of enterprise. And of course, I am speaking about certain categories of artists. Not every artist is going to have a viable income, and I mean, it's just going to be dependent on your particular genre and skill level and so forth. And of course, some areas of art are technically completely obsolete now. In other words, you can get a photorealistic rendition of a person that's two-dimensional, and it's called a photograph. You can get that for almost no cost. But there are still artists being commissioned to do oil paintings. So even though it is technically an obsolete thing to do an oil painting of someone, it still has a cachet that people subscribe to, and ultimately you are selling your products to people. You're not selling your products to completely logical and mechanistic machines. So while there's still a market for oil paintings, even though photographs are widely available and super cheap, even there, artists still have a chunk of the market. And creating unusual works of art is still going to be partly the province of human beings. And this will be the case even with a sophisticated set of robots out there. So I'm going to box these guys up since the little demo is done on the macro lens. And I'm using this cute little storage tray here. Not sure where it's from originally. I got it at a thrift store like you get everything. But, so the category of artist is not going to go away completely. No matter how good the machines get, even if they get to the point where you can talk to one and it sounds like you're talking to a human being, it looks like a human being, it smells like a human being, you can still make a living as an artist. It may get a little harder, and I will address that in a future video as to how we can kind of keep our edge and make it a little easier to have an art career in the advent of computers and mass production in a very sophisticated way, and you know, all the technological stuff that's coming along. But unlike drivers who may just become an extinct species, the artist isn't going to go away. And we have, there is hope for the future, even in a Blade Runner sort of future. Because art is something that expresses an individual sort of proclivity, and even if they made 1,000 machines, you still would have a different result if you gave the same task to a human. Now, let me give you another example. I've got this guy here, which, you know, is not going as well as I had hoped, but it is going to be some type of creature skull or creature head. And I don't even know what it's going to be entirely. It's some weird little oddball thing. And can I tell a robot how to make this? I don't even know what it's going to be. So it shows kind of the randomness of the creative process. My original concept for this was that it was going to be some type of skull of a creature that hides under children's beds. And it still may be that, or it may be something else. But how do you program a computer, or even direct a computer to say, make some weird oddball thing that doesn't make any sense? Even a totally intelligent computer is going to have a tough time with that. So, once again, I would say that artists have a future in the future, even with the advent of mechanization and automation and truly intelligent robots. I think we're going to get by. We can get by better if we make certain changes and make certain preparations for the societal changes that are going to be coming due to technology. But we have a chance where other segments of the economy and other skill sets are going to become completely obsolete. And I will leave you with one last thing. I have been working a lot with polymer clay, and in case you're wondering what is the appropriate music to play after you've been kneading polymer clay for a long time and your fingers are hurting,